John here at the Plank and Chisel YouTube channel. And today I'll be showing you guys how I took these free wooden pallets and turned them into a brand new dog bed for my two dogs. We'll be hammering, ripping, sawing, cutting, and everything you can imagine. And this is how I did it. You ready to go? In these clips, I'm actually dealing with oak pallets. I realized that I could find oak pallets, which is what I want to make my dog beds out of instead of pine. So all the pallets you're seeing here are all oak. I'm pretty sure it's red oak. It all smells like red oak to me. And then there's the pallet teardown process, which I'm sure a lot of people have seen. That's kind of a popular thing on YouTube, and that's kind of how I came about figuring out doing it myself. But surprisingly, you can really, with a lot of effort, get some good wood out of the pallets. I guess the thing that's amazing to me is I probably spent 75 to 80% of the time transforming the wood into usable wood so I could actually build my dog bed. And then, yeah, initially when I started doing this, I was using a hammer and nail and just pulling it out. But then I came across this nailer, and that made a big difference. And it was kind of annoying at first because I'm thinking, okay, this thing needs to punch the nails completely out, because sometimes when the wood's a little denser or maybe a little damp, the nails don't want to go all the way through. But usually if you hit it a few times, you can punch it on through. I'm planing the wood, realizing that the wood is multiple thicknesses, which is a challenge of its own, because I need to have these sides all the same thicknesses, and I want alternating colors and alternating hues, I guess is what you call it, of the wood color as I glue them together. Yeah. Here I'm just kind of showing an example of gluing up a piece, because even though I had a ton of wood, there's a lot of it that's not usable. I don't know, maybe in the end when you take it from the pallet to where I'm using it, you may only get 25% of the wood they end up using. And this part kind of drove me nuts, because I'm just like trying to mix and match, and trying to get a bit of a plan together, or a system together to organize all of this stuff, and it was just kind of mind-boggling for me. And here I am gluing up, and obviously I haven't done a whole lot of gluing up like this, but I have done some in the past, so it's kind of a new thing for me. So I was trying to figure out the best way to apply the glue, and I used a foam roller here. I didn't really like the roller. The roller's not a good way to do it. I thought it would be. And I decided just to go with the old-fashioned brush. As you can see here, that's the best way to get it on there, and it just, there's no cheating on applying glue. This thing's already fucking...
A few moments later.
And here, yep, it's better to kind of scrape off the excess glue before it gets hard, because once it gets hard, it's not coming off. So I used tape to separate these two so I could glue two of them together, but then the other batch, the front and the back, these are the sides of the bed. The front and the back sides, actually, even though I had put some tape in between them, they stuck together, so I had to pry them apart. But I guess that's a testament to the glue. I used Type Bond 3 for this stuff, which may be overkill, maybe not, but it has a longer working time, which is what I was interested in. So, but 3 out of the 4 were pretty much flat, but this one right here, I shimmed it up and put it into the planer with that piece right there, because it seemed like it was a little bit warped. Planing it to get it to a point where it's flat, but I end up planing everything to thickness at one point, which was about 1 1/16 of an inch is what all the sides end up being. And here I am using, obviously, the Japanese Ryobi saw, which obviously is not something I'm not real good with it. I don't think I could improve with this, but maybe it's because I got a cheaper one over at Harbor Freight, and it may not cut quite as well. But I didn't really feel totally comfortable with that, and I ended up having to use a Dremel. I used a Dremel to kind of trim up or to smooth out the little ridges that were left after I used that Japanese saw. And here I am sanding, my lord, sanding. I mean, people talk about how you can oversand. Well, I definitely oversanded on this project. And now I'm de-whiskering, which is probably one of the multiple times I de-whiskered. Obviously, removes all the extra fibers and gets it smoother. What are you doing? You don't like being on camera? You don't like being on camera? I didn't know what to do at the top initially, so I kind of figured some of this stuff out. Most of the stuff I figured out as I go. I kind of decide what I want to do, and then I figure out as I go. So then I'm like, okay, I got to put a cap on this, and so I beveled the edge of you know, a piece and put the cap on there.
A few moments later.
So this is a step that I think initially I'm like, oh, am I doing overkill? Do I really need to drill this out before I put it through the router? And yeah, I think it made a lot of sense to do that, because really, usually you want to have as much material removed for the router as possible. So that really worked out well. Anyway, so this is my drill press, obviously, and you can see that I've got a piece of board there on the back of it where I glued that on there with some hot glue to set the depth of where I'm putting all those mortises. Yeah, you can see that I clamped some boards on the piece here for stops. That router table isn't too bad of a router table. It's the Bosch router table. This is my test piece, so I made test pieces for everything. Everything I did, I tested first, just because I didn't know how it was going to be. For the most part, all my cuts were good except for that round nose bit. The round nose bit left some burns and stuff, and that was kind of frustrating. But that was, I don't know, I think I might just have to get a higher quality bit, or maybe that's just a thing that happens with those round nose bits, is they have a tendency to burn. I decided to cut notches in the corner posts. That way I can hold the frame of the bed, which I'll be making here pretty soon. I'll be showing you in the middle. But I built that I guess that's a diagonal jig of some sort that I mount, or I clamp down to my crosscut sled in order to cut those notches out at an angle. Since oak is kind of a porous wood, I decided to just spend some time and fill all of the wood to try and get all the cracks and seams and pores out of it, just in case, you know, I put some, because I didn't want any like blotchiness from the filler. I just wanted to have it all filled. I decided to do a half lap build and just glue the frame together. I didn't use any fasteners for this entire build. It's all glue. And then the only two things that weren't pallets were glue and the finish. I had it 99.9% cut right the first time. I had to make a couple final adjustments on it. And this glue up was stressful like they all are. It took me about 30-40 minutes to get this all glued up. racing against the clock, feeling kind of stressed out, thinking I have to bust my butt to get this thing done as quickly as possible, because just not having a whole lot of experience with glue ups like this, just, you know, it's kind of nerve-wracking. But I got it all together. And yeah, you can never have enough clamps. That is for sure. I decided after I sanded it, I'm like, I want to make this look real nice. And I decided to router all the inside edges to make it look real clean and nice. And in a moment, you'll see the reason why I notched, how this notched part of the corner post works with this frame. So yeah, here I am using the Japanese Ryobi saw again, which, I think it's either I need to get a better saw or I need to practice more, because I'm not real happy with my, I don't feel totally comfortable using that thing. But I mean, it cut just fine, I guess, in the end. There we are. That's how that fits together. I ended up using Armor Seal, which is kind of labor intensive because it takes 3 coats and it takes 12 to 24 hours to dry in between. I was going to use a water base because I wanted to be able to do it all in a day. And I tested the water base out and just could not believe how it looked. It did not look good at all. This Armor Seal is beautiful. It brings out the grain. It brings out some depth to the wood. And as far as I'm concerned, if I would have used something other than this, I could have used a Rubio Monocoat, which I think I'm going to use on the next project, but I guess I wasn't quite ready to do that. Definitely using Rubio Monocoat here soon, because that's a one-step process and it looks really good. But anyway, I tested out the water base and I really, it looked terrible. I think it would have destroyed the way this whole project looked. This Armor Seal is what brings out the beauty in the wood. And here I am dry fitting the bed, making sure everything goes together the way I want to. The sides and the corners are glued, and like I said, I used Titebond 3 for that, and the frame is free floating. I didn't glue that in just because of, you know, wood expansion and things like that. Not my favorite. But yeah, as always, this is stressful to glue up because it's so permanent. It's a final. It's like, okay, if you don't get this right and it goes together wrong, then I'm gonna have to start completely over. And that is a lot of work, especially when you have to make the wood from scratch from the pallets. Just some rough sketches. I pretty much had kind of an idea in my head of how I wanted to do it, and I don't really, depending on the project, I'll spend more time planning. And here's Duke. He's got his bone, being a good boy, testing out the bed. Passes inspection here. I hope you guys enjoyed this build as much as I enjoyed making it. If you liked it and would like to see more woodworking projects just like this one, be sure to subscribe to the channel. And if you have ideas for future woodworking projects, please comment below. As always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys on the next video.